Hello and welcome back to the David67 Celtic News YouTube channel. Today's video going to be primarily a post-match reaction to Celtic's 3-0 win over Livingston yesterday. In the end, a very comfortable win, and lots and lots of positives to take from the game, and for me, not too many negatives. And yet again, a bit of VAR controversy. Quite a contrast between the VAR use yesterday at Livingston in comparison to the way that VAR was used in the Rangers Hibs match the day before. So, as I said, lots of positives to take from the game. 3-0 win puts us back on top of the table in preparation for next Sunday's big game away from home against our big rivals. Improves our goal difference to one goal better than them, which might be very important when it comes to the end of the season. We appear to have got through the game without any further injuries. We got through the game with Rio Hatate having the best part of an hour of good quality action. CCV got through the game without any apparent flare-ups of his hamstring and calf problems, and some nice positive contributions coming off the bench from several of our backup players. First half, I was a wee bit disappointed with Celtic. We did seem rather slow, rather pedantic, rather pedestrian in our build-up. We didn't really get the ball out wide enough to Kuhn and Maeda, and when we did, Kuhn and Maeda's final ball was very disappointing. And certainly in the first half, very rarely did we ever see Alistair Johnston or Greg Taylor overlapping and getting out wide. And we are at our best when I think the fullbacks are up there supporting the two wide players, creating further options to get in behind blanket defences. And in the first half, didn't really happen. And it wasn't really until added time in the first half that we seemed to get a shot on goal, with Kyogo having a shot very well stopped by Shamal George in the Livingston match. Saying all that, Celtic looked very, very strong at the back. Once Carter Vickers came across to mark Livingston's main striker, he completely disappeared from the game. It was rather disappointing for me that Liam Scales yet again put in a substandard performance. He is atrocious on the ball. His distribution coming out of defence is very poor. He very rarely hits that killer ball, unlike Carter Vickers. He got manhandled and overpowered on many occasions by Livingston's front men. Happily, Alistair Johnston and Cameron Carter Vickers played well in defence, particularly Carter Vickers. Greg Taylor defended well. His distribution and passing was, in the first half, rather poor, but improved quite a bit in the second half. Going into half-time 0-0 was a bit disappointing. I think Celtic fully deserved to be on top and fully deserved to have gone in with a lead. However, a combination of some poor final balls, some very good defence by Livingston's back 10, and some good goalkeeping by Shamal George kept the score to 0-0. Happily, in second half, Celtic did come out with a lot more pace, a lot more direct. Second half, Nicholas Kuhn, much more of a threat coming in off the right wing, and indeed some very good work by Nicholas Kuhn in the box, taking the ball back off the Livingston defender, passing in. Rio Hatate's shot, very well saved by Shamal George, however, rebounded onto the Livingston defender, Brandon, and went into the goal to put us 1-0 up. And the VAR happily couldn't find anything wrong with the goal to disallow the goal, and so the goal stood. Celtic then took the chance to take off Hatate and put on Paulo Bernardo. Paulo Bernardo, I thought, actually played well for the half an hour that he came on, and that does fill me with quite a lot of good hope for the game against Rangers next week, where I can easily see him coming off the bench late in the game to push towards victory or tighten up midfield if we're defending a lead. So was very impressed with Paulo Bernardo. Very good run by Bernardo, managing to stay on his feet despite a couple of rather dodgy tackles from Livingston from the back. Nice 1-2 with Matt O'Reilly, and a lovely right-footed finish, unstoppable, into the bottom right corner of the Livingston goal. We later also managed to pop on James Forrest, Yang and Ida and Kelly, giving our white players, Kyogo and Matt O'Reilly, a wee bit of a rest for the end of the match. Actually was impressed with all those four players. I think they all had their good contribution to third goal. Nice ball in. Adam Ida held the ball up nicely, passed off to Matt O'Reilly, whose shot managed to evade Shamal George in the Livingston goal. A lot of people were criticising Shamal George for not being able to save that shot. His difficulty was, had he saved it conventionally, it would have gone straight back to Matt O'Reilly, Adam Ida, or rebounded back off the Livingston defenders in a rather crowded 6-yard box. So he was trying to push the ball wide, couldn't quite get enough of a deflection on it, and managed to palm the ball into his own net. So they did have a couple of other chances after that. Some nice saves by Shamal George. Very good shot by James Forrest that was well saved. And all in all, very, very positive for Celtic. My players of the match would be primarily Rio Hatate and Cameron Carter-Vickers. I'm going to give them both a good 8.5 out of 10. A lot of media outlets gave man of the match to Nicholas Kuhn. I thought Nicholas Kuhn first half wasn't that good. Second half, he did have a good 20-30 minutes or so prior to his substitution. He did have a hand in the first goal. As I said, some very good work to get the ball back. Nice ball into this crowded 6-yard box. He did have a nice shot on goal later on as well. So many positives for Nicholas Kuhn. But for me, men of the match were Hatate and Carter-Vickers. Also, I was impressed with Matt O'Reilly. Played more of a holding midfield role, often going back to support defence. Doesn't quite get himself into the box quite as much as he used to do, and did appear to be playing a wee bit more holding midfield, allowing Hatate to roam all over the pitch. And I also would want to give special praise to Tomoki Iwata. He does a lot of the things that people don't tend to notice in a game. And then they did see indeed one of the Celtic sites giving him 2 out of 10 as his rating, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. It kind of implies to me that inverted commas, expert doesn't actually understand football. Tomoki Iwata, good job mopping things up in midfield, good job linking with his defenders, linking with the wide players, linking with Hatate and O'Reilly, doing a lot of the work that Hatate and O'Reilly ordinarily would be doing in midfield, freeing them up to have a more roaming role. And I would, in that case, give Tomoki Iwata a good 6.5 or 7 out of 10. All the Celtic players, I think, in the end played well, including the subs. Joe Hart hardly had anything to do, but he did restart the play, get the ball back into play well, and on the few occasions he needed to take command of his box, he did a good job. I can scarcely remember him having a proper save to make. The one player I was disappointed in, yet again, was Liam Scales. As I said earlier on, his defending wasn't really up to scratch. He got dominated quite a number of times by the Livingston frontmen, gave away quite a few fouls, and also his distribution coming out the back is poor. He does seem very nervous on the ball quite often, and indeed very late in the game, Liam Scales dithered on the ball, got dispossessed by the Livingston forward, who happily hit the ball miles over the bar. So 3-0 win. Lots of positives, as I said, as seems to be the case all the time. VAR controversies, quite why the VAR referee didn't at least get Don Robertson to have a look at the challenge by Devlin on Kyogo from the back. To be fair to Don Robertson, the referee, there was a Livingston player in his eye line that kind of blocked out half of the challenge of Devlin onto Kyogo. So I can forgive him not being able to give the penalty straight away. The assistant referee would have had a good view across the box to see from a good angle the challenge on Kyogo. However, he didn't intercede either. However, the VAR referee had 3 angles to look at. Kind of the story coming out of the Sky and BBC commentary team is that Muir looked at one angle and didn't bother looking at all the angles. Certainly, from every angle I saw, the replays from Kyogo clearly was taken out by Devlin coming in from the back. Devlin made no contact with the ball, came through the back of Kyogo, catching him on the ankle and taking him out at the knees. Clear penalty kick. I am 100% certain. And Alan Muir, the VAR referee, asked Don Robertson to have a look again at it, it would have been given as a penalty. Now, no guarantee that whoever stepped up to take that penalty for Celtic would have scored, but it at least would have given us a very good chance to go into the break at least 1-0 up. We'll just have to put it down to an honest error, an honest mistake by Alan Muir, that he mistakenly only had one look at from the angles, didn't bother to look at all the possible angles. He just made an honest mistake, and there's no more to it than that. Never a good idea crying over spilt milk. Refereeing decisions are refereeing decisions, and in the end, we very comfortably won the game 3-0, and we'll be going into the game against our big rivals next Sunday at their ground with, it would appear, a practically full squad. Only player, I think, who is in question for next Sunday, as things stand, will be Luis Palma. The stories coming out of Celtic are that Palma should be fit to come off the bench, at least. But I was actually very impressed with James Forrest, and so if Forrest is the second wide player rather than Palma, I think we will be okay. Kyle McGregor should be back for next Sunday, and so I would expect O'Reilly, Hattati and McGregor to be our midfield 3. Kyle McGregor being that little bit more of a withdrawn role, which may well allow him, as was the case in the game on the 30th of December last year, allows him to take control of the game, or will disrupt Rangers' normal midfield setup. The results from this weekend does give Celtic the opportunity to only need to draw the game at Rangers next Sunday, assuming that we win the follow-up fixture after the split at home, and then the title will be ours if we win all our other games apart from that. And I think certainly Celtic's best 11 with our strong bench is more than enough to win those games and win the title. No other real news stories coming out of the Celtic ground or training ground this today. A lot of the news stories having almost universally said that Celtic should have been given that penalty, and that VAR again seemed to favour our big rivals with a very dodgy penalty decision given for them and a clear penalty not given to us yesterday. And not unexpectedly, there was one pundit who disagreed with the theory that that penalty should have been given, but I don't actually ever trust or agree with anything Chris Boyd ever says, and I really am shocked that any TV station or newspaper pays him money to give opinions on football, because he scarcely can see anything with his blue, white and red glasses on. So, to finish things off, lots of positives, as I said. Well done, Celtic. Nice victory, nice team performance. Many of our best players coming back into good form at the right time, and it would look like all but one of our players, best players, will be available for the game on Sunday. And Luis Palma, who is the player for which there remain doubts, has a good chance, but not guaranteed chance, of playing next Sunday. But I think we have enough strength out with him to draw or more likely win the game next Sunday. So that just about finishes things off for today. We'll try and do a video every day through the week. And just to finish off, the usual plea: if you have enjoyed today's video and you're new to the channel, please do click that subscribe button. Keep my subscriber numbers going up slowly. Really is helping, cheering me up in my recovery spell from hospital and pneumonia. My symptoms pretty much gone, thanks to all those who've passed on good wishes. And just to finish off, if you haven't liked the video, do click that like button, and as always, do feel free to pop your comments into the comment section, either regarding this analysis, the Livingston match, the VAR controversy, or other issues you want to discuss regarding Celtic, and we can start a nice wee discussion and debate on the channel. And so until tomorrow, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, goodbye, and hail, hail.